Welcome back to Rumi Gold, where quiet mastery begins. What if prosperity wasn't built with calluses, but with clarity? What if who you are in the room matters more than what you do with your hands? What if abundance wasn't a finish line, but a frequency you can tune to right now? Why is it that some men carry peace like it's gold dust, while others chase it until their eyes go hollow? And what would it feel like to let effort go just long enough to learn what your energy can really call in? Today we explore, not as a tactic, but as a truth, why your energy is more valuable than your work. Let's slow this down from the start. You might be sitting in your car, or walking your neighborhood, or lying in a room late at night chasing sleep. But wherever you are, breathe for a second. Empty your pockets. Drop the armor. You're not in a contest here. Let that land. This isn't about motivation. A few years back, I was sitting with a client. He was one of those men who never stopped moving. Calendar packed, phone always lighting up, money never the issue. But life, real life, felt absent. He said, "I just want to remember what it feels like to not be on the clock. I want to find the thing in me that isn't tired." There was this moment, a pause, where nothing got solved, but everything got seen. He wasn't broken, he was just exhausted by believing discipline meant do more. By believing that you could force the earth to bloom if you just labored hard enough. When, in truth, you can work a field to death, but it's the rain and the sun, the energy, that make things alive. Let that breathe. So where in your life have you been forcing what won't grow? Where are you burnt at both ends? Not lazy, but spent. When did you last ask, is what I'm giving my life to actually nourishing me back? Am I addicted to the feeling of being useful instead of being true? Can I let go of doing for just long enough to remember how it feels to be? You already know this. You've felt that low hum of frustration when effort multiplies, but results shrink. You've felt the heavy silence in a morning when your mind is already 3 steps ahead and your spirit just wants a minute to wake up. There's an emotional cost tied to this grind. It's subtle but steep. It's the cost of mistaking exhaustion for accomplishment, of measuring yourself by what you can muscle, not by how you move the air around you. We inherit it young. The prize for effort is love. The penalty for rest is guilt. This isn't a moral failure. It's a generational echo. The world says, do more, be more, have more. But beneath that noise is a deeper question. Who am I when the doing stops? Can my energy carry the room, even when my hands are still? Let that echo. If you sit with that, you'll find what most never pause long enough to see. Energy is not about being hyped, or louder, or outworking everyone. Energy is what happens when you're so rooted in who you are, that you magnetize prosperity instead of chasing or forcing it. I've lived both sides, the years where I rose before the sun and stayed up after midnight, tracking the minutes, cashing in every drop of willpower, thinking I could outwork my emptiness. And the years after the burnout, when I learned to value my inner weather, to guard my mornings, to breathe before I speak, to honor the signal when my energy says yes, and when it quietly says no, it changed everything. Not in an overnight, lightning flash, storybook way, but in the quiet rewiring of what I gave my attention to. Money came easier. Clients arrived with less convincing, more resonance. Relationships deepened, not because I tried harder, but because who I was became an invitation, not a pitch. Let that land. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be true. If you've ever done all the right things and still wondered why you still outside the gates looking in, it may not be your effort that's lacking, it might be your energy that's been misspent, misaligned, or just muted for too long. There's nothing to prove. What if you... Let's get real for a second. Most of us have been swimming in the same current since we were kids. Maybe you grew up watching your parents run on empty, running between jobs, skipping meals, trying to hold everything together, because that's what everyone around them was doing. That's what the world rewarded. Busyness, grind, more steps, more lists, more hours, more noise. Somewhere along the line that became our normal. If you stopped moving, you started slipping. If you took a breath, you felt behind. And the strange part is nobody ever told you you only have value if you're exhausted, but you felt it deep down. Everywhere you turned, life was measured in output. Did you do enough? Did you achieve enough? Are you pushing hard enough to be worth something in the eyes of a world always moving faster? That's the trance. That's the cultural hypnosis. It's so deep that even your rest can start to feel like a reason for shame. A slow morning guilt shows up. A weekend with nothing scheduled. You wonder if you're falling behind while others rocket forward. Here's the core of what we've been doing wrong. We mistook exhaustion for excellence. We chased the kind of productivity that burns the soil but never lets anything real grow. We stopped asking if what we're building is even right for us, because the only thing that seemed to matter was building it faster than the next guy. Let that echo. Somewhere we severed the root. We forgot that being comes before becoming. We got so focused on the architecture of the outside, the meetings, the metrics, the money, that we lost touch with the silent foundations inside. There's a reason craft, masters, carpenters, martial artists, even serious athletes return to their breath again and again. Not because slowness wins trophies, but because discipline is clarity, not chaos. If the inside is scattered, the outside always reflects it, and you already know this. There's nothing to prove. Think of someone like Rick Rubin. You see him barefoot in a studio, slow to speak, just listening, not shouting, not rushing, not trying to impress a room. For years, Rick tried to force his way through, not just producing music, but proving his worth in the way he thought he was supposed to. Over time, that kind of grind ate at him. He got sick, disconnected, lost the spark that made his work powerful. And then, slowly, he learned to return to his own inner rhythm. He stripped away the frantic effort, the constant proving. Rubin started showing up fully present. When he listens, he's really there. No rush, just presence. And somehow, because he is still, everyone else listens too. Opportunities come to him, not because he shouts louder, because his presence fills the room. That's not charisma, that's coherence. It's what happens when your insides match your outsides. When you stop trying to be impressive, you become magnetic. The doors that open are the ones meant for you. The work you do suddenly has clarity because you're not scattering yourself in 1,000 directions. So you can run 70 hours a week. You can post, push, network until you go hoarse. But if your energy is scattered, if your busy but not clear life turns noisy, results evaporate. People wonder why they can't break through. It's not a lack of effort. It's a lack of alignment. This isn't about motivation. It's not an indictment either. Nobody taught us any different. We grew up in this stew of meritocracy, performance-based love, and the lie that more always equals better. We believed if we stopped grinding, we'd stop growing. But that S, just the story, we were handed the water we were swimming in before we knew how to breathe it. But the truth sits beneath the noise. And the truth is, your life doesn't expand with your hours. Life expands according to your frequency, not your fatigue. It doesn't mean you stop working. It means you stop leaking. Leaking your value, improving, not presence. Leaking your focus into things that don't fit. Leaking your power by chasing what was never yours. That's the discipline. Real masters know how to hold their energy. Silence when everyone else is shouting. Stillness when everyone else is fidgeting with their phones. Coherence isn't passive. It's alive with quiet power. Think of a craftsman building a chair. Every cut, every angle, every touch of sandpaper measured. He's not racing. He finds the grain of the wood, listens to its shape. The chair lasts longer. The joints hold under pressure because every movement found its place. But when we're just surviving, pushing, striving, pleasing, a fog rolls in. Judgment clouds the mind. The body tenses up. You can feel it, a tightness in your shoulders. Breathing gets shallow. What if the reason things aren't moving isn't strategy? What if money listens to you, not with its ears, but with a different kind of sense? What if the world quietly matches your mood, even when you say nothing out loud? What would shift if you stopped chasing and started tuning? And what if the signal you're sending really is everything, all the time? Let that hang in the air. Don't rush to answer. Just feel how heavy those questions are. Today, everyone talks about working harder, being smarter, taking massive action. They try to control results, to wrangle opportunity by force. But sit with this. You could run every play exactly right, and still nothing. No doors opening, no hand reaching out, no ease. Why? Because the world doesn't move because you want it to. It listens to who you are. Now, that's frequency. Not as an idea, but as a kind of silent broadcast, a field you carry, a presence you don't have to explain. Think of the last time you walked into a room and everything was off. Maybe two people just fought. No one told you, but your body knew. The air felt thick. Feet shuffled different. Your mind said stay, but something deeper whispered, isn't safe here. No one spoke, but everyone radiated that tension, and you felt it before a word. Now flip it. Walk into a studio right after a huge creative win, when a group just finished building something beautiful. Same quiet, but it buzzes. There's a glow, a lift, a power in the room. That's what you catch. That's energy. The real language, even deeper than words. Let that land. It means that before money lands, or people join your cause, or luck shows up, something unseen is already speaking for you. Your field is loud. Before you send the text, before you shake a hand, before you sign a deal, the tone is already set. Here's another way to see it. Imagine a garden. You want tulips, so you buy the best bulbs, plant at the perfect time. You do everything right. But if the soil is toxic, polluted with old chemicals, nothing will rise. The work, the water, the effort, wasted. Not because the seeds were wrong, but because the ground was sour. That's self-doubt. That's old fear. That's scarcity sitting underneath. You aren't planting in the world. You're planting in your own field. Your soil is your inner state. You can hustle. You can overthink every move. But the seed only grows where the ground allows. That's the discipline. Some get this right without knowing the words. They walk through life steady. Other people relax around them. Luck, kindness, even money drifts their way again and again. They aren't louder. They don't force. It's the signal, the silent part that sets everything up. Let's talk about becoming that. Neville Goddard said, assume the feeling of what you want fulfilled. It's not magic. He means carry the state in your body first. How does a man act who already trusts himself, who already feels full, who is no longer desperate to chase? His voice is different. His choices shift. He enters a room, and it bends for him, not the other way around. You don't pretend, you rehearse the realness. You taste the energy of being already settled, already worthy, even if there's no outside sign. Yet, the outer catches up to the inner every single time. This isn't just a nice idea either. Science points here too. In quantum physics, there's a principle called resonance. Everything vibrates: tables, people, even your thoughts. When two things vibrate at the same frequency, they link up, like tuning forks across the room. Hit one, the other starts to sing on its own. That's coherence. That's how energy draws energy. People pick up your mood, your clarity, your confusion, even when you hide it. Fields connect faster than words. Let that echo. So the recalibration is simple. Before you push to launch, before you pick up the phone, before you publish the post, pause, drop back down. Check your state, not your script. Are you tight, desperate, proving, or is your nervous system clear and quiet? Breathe. Speak from there or wait until you can. The world is listening for the truth under your voice. It responds over and over to the field, not just the form. Picture this. Sitting in a coffee shop, some person walks in. You don't know them, but everyone senses something. People look up. Conversations shift. They're not famous. They're not rich. It's their field. No tension, no mask, just presence. You can't fake that. It's costly, but it's real wealth. This isn't about motivation. No one needs to hype you up. Presence is earned by returning to your own signal again and again until it's steady. Then, when fortune shows up, a deal, a lover, an idea, it recognizes you. You called it before you saw it. Your frequency is your foundation. More than skill, more than story, more than strategy. Tune that, and the game changes. Over time, the world learns to meet you where you truly are, not where you pretend to be, not where you hope to be, but where you're vibrating right now. That's the discipline. What really gets results is not how much you move, but how completely you show up in this single moment. Let that sit. Most people will click off, looking for something faster. But if you're still here, you're already closer than you realize. What if you could drop the idea that productivity is about output? Not the number of tasks, not the size of your to-do list, not even how many hours you spent at the desk, but simply how much of you is present right now. Real presence is not perfection. Real presence is not intensity. It's a quiet completeness, like a builder who places one brick eye to the level, shoulder squared. Nothing scattered, nothing rushed. Think. For weeks, hammering cold emails, screens open late, second-guessing every move. Nothing lands. Then you let go. You walk. You breathe. You show up in a cafe without expectation. Out of nowhere, someone sits beside you. You pause, smile, let your eyes soften. You share a real conversation. One connection. One moment. Suddenly, doors open that you could not have forced, even with a month of effort. That's not luck. That's the magnetism of presence. It's never equal to output. It's something else. Let that land. Presence is the complete focus of your energy, not split by overthinking, not drained by anxiety about outcomes. We talk about flow, but flow is only found in this exact minute, not tomorrow, not yesterday. Your energy becomes potent when you aren't halfway anywhere. It's like a well-forged knife. You don't need many swings, just one, with your whole arm behind it. There's a reason the old teaching says, chop wood, carry water. It's not about chores or some distant enlightenment. Chop wood, carry water is a call to be alive, even in what the world calls dull. Washing tonight's dishes with your full attention turns it from noise into a note. Brew coffee slowly. Taste becomes richer. Writing an email with no part of you holding back. It lands differently. Presence turns even simple movement into transmission, into medicine, into a signal to everyone, even those who can't name it. Let's sit with that. Ever tried splitting your mind between 5 things? A bit here, a bit there. Emails, a text, checking something you forgot, looking ahead. The result, fragmentation. Your output multiplies, but your impact thins out. Energy leaks out, silent and slow. People sense it, even if they don't say. You're around, but you're not really there. Presence, on the other hand, is magnetic. People feel seen. Projects complete faster. Timing is uncanny. There's no drag. There's just clear movement. That's why old patterns of multitasking fall flat. The world sold speed, but what we craved was substance. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be true. So what's the way through? Slow the breath. Your breath sets the rhythm for your whole nervous system. Fast breath, mind spins. Shallow breath, decisions grow smaller. But when you steady the inhale, stretch the exhale, you let the body know there's no emergency. And in that presence settles. You become available, not just reactive. Bring love into the moment. Not movie script love, micro-love. Handling your mug like an heirloom, not plastic. Feeling the pulse in your own hand. It's not a show, it's a grounding. And release the future. You don't create today by fighting next week's shadows. Productivity anxiety is only a story. Presence redraws it. Let's anchor this with something real. I once worked with a client. Let's call him Eric. For months, Eric obsessed over his business launch. Spreadsheets open into the night. Caffeine analysis. Dozens of small talks with prospective partners. Little traction, less joy. I suggested. For a week, he tried doing less. But doing it all in. One conversation a day. No scrambling, just pure presence. The first meeting, he arrived early. Phone silenced, no script. He sat, simply listening, relaxed. The tone shifted. The partner at the table felt it. Leaned in. What started as a routine check-in grew into a mutual plan to co-create a major event, a scale Eric hadn't even anticipated. One conversation, fully lived, more return than 3 months of grinding. That's the discipline. So here's the truth. It's not about how many hours you survive, how many things you juggle, how fast you run through chaos. Presence is what transforms action into impact. It's what makes you undeniable, not by noise, but by gravity. Stop splitting, start arriving. Sit now, let it echo for a breath or two. You don't need more doing, you need more you do. So, here's what nobody told you, even after all the books, all the courses, all the miles run on that inner treadmill. What if the thing you're gripping for is quicksand, not soil? What if the real game isn't about winning, but tuning. Can you feel the difference between running after something and rising into it? Do you notice the noise in your chest every time you chase what isn't yours? Let's break something open, quietly, not with force, with precision. Alignment attracts, effort chases. It sounds so simple, but it's not easy to trust. Most people spend their whole life trying to wrestle results into existence. Like trying to drag a song out of an untuned guitar. You can strum harder, you can use more force, you can break every string in the process. But if you aren't tuned, the music won't carry. Life is not about the pushing. Life is about tuning. When you're in alignment, really, quietly, actually in it, it's like your whole life vibrates at the same note. The right words show up, not because you chase them, but because your own frequency is a broadcast. The people walk into your orbit, not because you called them, but because you are calibrated. The opportunities echo your note, like distant bells ringing back. You don't have to yell to be heard by those meant to hear you. You don't have to convince what already wants to arrive. That's the discipline. A magnet never chases metal. A tuning fork doesn't go out looking. It simply hums its note, and everything that matches vibrates. Have you noticed this? Sometimes you meet someone whose presence feels effortless, yet every conversation, every opportunity seems to find them. It's not luck, it's coherence. Alignment isn't a mood, it isn't a high, it's a kind of gravity, chasing. That's what happens when you act out of sync with what your core is already telling you. Chasing feels like working overtime for recognition, like forcing conversations that leave you smaller, like squeezing money out of a stone, hoping it will feel like water. You already know what that sounds like. Have you ever tried to force a connection? Push for a yes that never sat right in your chest. The harder you chase, the further it runs. It isn't about more effort, it's about clean frequency. Let's sit with that. Watching someone live in alignment is like listening to an instrument tuned to itself. Silence, then resonance. You hear it, you feel it, without needing a chart to explain it. And when you force it, when you try to hammer at life with raw effort, the best you get is noise. You can't force harmony, you can only tune for it. That's why you see some men grind, push, over-deliver, but nothing sticks, because the signal is scattered. You can't fake clear vibration. This isn't about motivation. It's about noticing when your own system feels clean, and letting that be enough. After each action you take, pause. Did that feel forced or faithful? Did it open my nervous system? Or lock it down harder? Alignment is not perfection. It's honest calibration. It's not a someday achievement. It's a moment-to-moment practice. Some days, the truest act of alignment is rest. Some days, it's saying no with finality, not drama. Some days, it's doing less, so your music isn't buried beneath noise. Maybe you're in a season that looks messy from the outside. Maybe everything fell apart just to return you to this one frequency. Honesty, you can live there. You don't need to chase clarity. You can lose what's already yours when you retuned into the right vibration. Let that land. The world teaches you to chase, to run after the gig, to push for the sale, to prove your worth by grinding. But who told you that was the only way? Who decided that noise was more valuable than quiet resonance? The invitation is to tune, not to sprint, to tune, not to prove, to tune, not to beg. When you're tuned, you become a living invitation. You don't have to ask, You don't have to sell yourself to enter any room. Your signal travels ahead. And what's for you recognizes you. Maybe this is what clarity sounds like. So today, breathe and check. Where am I moving in honest frequency? And where am I scrambling to force what can never sound right? You don't have to get louder with effort. You only have to get cleaner with being tuned to yourself. You become magnetized, not magnetic as a trick, but as a state of being. Silence attracts where noise repels. You're not here to chase. You're here to stay tuned, live true, and watch what responds to your frequency. That's the discipline. You came here for something quietly serious. Not just to hear words, but to feel your own depth mirrored back to you. Not for motivation, but for the taste of a different center. One you might have forgotten, or maybe never fully let yourself stand in yet. So let's just be here. Slow, steady, anchored. There's nothing to prove, nothing to chase, just presence. Your energy has always mattered more than the results, more than the image, more than getting it right. Your work isn't the headline. Who you are, how you move, the hum of your frequency is the first signal the world feels. Most never pause to notice. Most are still competing in rooms that drain them. But you're willing to let all that soften, willing to see the truth for what it is. This is not about being passive. This is about becoming undeniable. There is a reason ancient words keep returning across centuries. Seek first the kingdom. What you seek is seeking you. Presence is not a trick. It is what remains when striving drops away. It's what's left after ambition, after anxious effort, after the story of your worth tied to achievement crumbles. There's nothing left but the truth in your bloodstream, the evidence in your breath, the calm in how your feet meet the ground. Let that land. You already know this. In the morning, before your emails, before your phone, there's a window. Light comes in, silence is heavy. And for a split second, you remember you're not competing, not behind, not notable or invisible. You're just here, with yourself, in one piece. There's gold in that. You never needed to grind to be worthy. Your frequency, clean, honest, unforced, sets the floor and ceiling for your prosperity. The men who build quiet wealth know this. The ones who arrive before dawn, not to prove, but to align. They move differently. They breathe before they act. They stand when others sprint. That's the discipline. So, this week, don't make it complicated. Practice waking up a little slower. Let yourself breathe, even while the world rushes. Notice where your body tenses with urgency. The jaw, the hands, the shoulders. Every time you unwind, you choose resonance over racing. You exchange exhaustion for quiet abundance. This isn't about motivation. Say no to one thing that drags your energy down. Say yes to one moment that feels like truth. Stand at the window. Let the silence grow roots. Watch what begins to arrive in your life when you not begging for it. You becoming a match for it. This is the oldest strategy in the world, to give up the fight, not to collapse, not to fall back, but to meet life so squarely that it cannot ignore you. The world meets a grounded man the way water finds its level. You are an invitation to resonance. Don't apologize for it. Don't shrink from it. Now, 8 affirmations. Anchor them, then let them echo. Each line lives twice, once as truth, again as embodiment. I move from stillness. I move from stillness. My energy precedes my action. My energy precedes my action. Presence is my power. Presence is my power. I only make offers from alignment. I only make offers from alignment. I trust the natural pace of growth. I trust the natural pace of growth. I am worthy of quiet wealth. I am worthy of quiet wealth. My soul sets the frequency of abundance. My soul sets the frequency of abundance. I return to myself again and again. I return to myself again and again. Let that echo for a moment.